I saw it coming in close enough I could see the pilot's face. The plane that came in toward me was the second one. It was only a few feet above me. I started back and took the first step, and then the second step I stepped on a round phone line that rolled with me and threw me flat on the deck. When I fell flat on the deck, I skidded far enough up against the torpedo hoist with my shoulder against it. It blew up under the bridge, knocked out communications and power. Black fire from the explosion got me. I didn't realize I was hit till the next day. Started itching a little.
Warning, the frontline testimony you're about to hear is, at times, extremely graphic. The realities of war are often difficult, but it's vitally important that these stories are told and the lessons are learned. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, I am Hugh F. Lewis. I was born in Elkhart, Kansas, southwestern Kansas, in 1926. 96, next month I'll be 97. My parents, when they got married, they homesteaded 40 acres up north of the river, just across the river from Elkhart. At the homestead in Kansas, we lived there for 5 years to homestead it. And by the end of that 5 years, the dust storms were coming in. My mother was getting dust pneumonia. So as soon as possible, they left out and went to Fullerton, California. This is my photo while in the Navy. This is a picture of my ship.
What was the ship?
The USS Brain. This went with me in the Navy.
Was this a family Bible or?
My parents gave it to me. I saw it coming in close enough I could see the pilot's face. It was a few degrees after the beam, not before. The historians thought it was before the beam, but it's not. When I saw him, I started back and took the first step and got up some momentum. And then the second step, I stepped on a round phone line that rolled with me and threw me flat on the deck. So the plane went above me.
So you've described the first plane. Your ship was hit by two planes. Where did the other plane hit?
The first one came in, past the Anthony, and through the number 2 5-inch gun handling room. It went right on through and carried through under the bridge, where it blew up under the bridge, knocked out communications and power.
And so the plane that almost hit you, that was the second plane?
Right. The plane that came in toward me was the second one, main deck level. Well, I was used to standing my watches up in the main battery director, so.
If you had been standing, if you had not stepped on that thing that made you fall on your face, would you have been hit by the plane?
I'm sure I would, yes.
That's incredible. So the plane literally, it just cleared you.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that in your word? I mean, how high above you did that plane go?
It was only a few feet above me when I saw it. So I wasn't gaining any elevation, so it had only been a few feet above me.
And can you please describe, so you're laying face down and the plane hits the deck. What was that explosion? What did you feel, hear?
Well, when I fell flat on the deck, I skidded far enough up against the torpedo hoist with my shoulder against it to stop me. And
you don't remember the explosion from the plane?
No.
But when you looked, you must have seen something when you looked around later. What did you see?
just some people on the back collected back there. And some others, like my buddy, was manning I wasn't aware of it at the time, but he was manning the handheld sprayer, water sprayer. Black fire from the explosion got me. I didn't realize I was hit till the next day. Started itching a little. I got hit in the calf and didn't even know it until the next day.
Could you show us where were you hit, sir?
I don't know if it still shows. Right in there somewhere.
Did you have to get treatment when you were wounded?
No. I didn't know anything wrong until the next day, and it was itching a little. I went and had it checked. It was only about a half-inch long, but the slice in my pants leg was only about 3/4 inch.
And so this was a little piece of shrapnel or something.
Piece of the farmers and ranchers had been sending their scrap metal, including their razors and the razor blades, over to Japan for years.
You described the damage done by the first plane. How long before, was it just a few seconds before?
It must have been. I had no idea how long it took, how far behind we were.
The second plane?
Yes.
Did you feel, like when the first plane hit, did you feel the ship move?
No.
Did you even know that you had been hit?
No. I guess the first one wasn't hit at all. Both planes that blew up hit us, the second strip. We were second, right behind the Anthony.
No, I know that. I'm saying when the first plane came in and knocked out the communications, that was the first Kamikaze. From your position, did you feel anything? Did you hear anything?
No, I wasn't aware of it.
Okay. The main thing you saw is that the guys around you disappeared and you looked to see what was going on and you see this Japanese plane coming in and right at you.
Right.
What does a person think when you see a plane barreling towards you at 18 years old?
Get out of there. Stay off around phone lines.
Well, didn't that phone line save your life?
Probably, yeah.
That's probably right. Can you talk a little bit about your faith? Did you pray when you were overseas? Did that help, or?
My buddy and I used to talk together like we were on a trip somewhere. Make up stories just to pass the time.
And can you please tell me, so when you went, after the ships were hit, after your ship was hit, the Anthony was not hit, right?
I don't think so.
So after your ship is hit, what were the steps taken to fix the damage? And did you help with cleaning up or any of the damage control of the ship?
No, I must have been while they were towing us down to that atoll that I went over to the other side and rescued a dither motor and the sail fin. I have the dither motors, one of them here.
And you took that off the ship?
Right.
Half the crew was killed.
Right. That's my estimate.
Was it the majority of it from the first Kamikaze?
And the second one, no, it was divided.
I was wondering if you knew.
Oh, these were killed in action, yeah.
Yeah,
This is a whole list of them.
Yeah.
About half the crew, I think. It's my estimation.
If you don't mind just quickly skimming it to see if you recognize anyone.
I don't recognize any of these that's printed here. There was one, our officer, gunnery officer and the main battery director. He was so had made so many people upset. He didn't dare go topside at night. But I can't remember his name. I don't see it here. And these are just the ones that were killed.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm interested in, because if you could shed some light on any of them, you know, what they were like. You got aboard in September of '44, so it was about
a year later almost. There's one on here that contacted me later. I saw it here earlier when I was looking at some of his survivors contacted me later, and I couldn't remember him. I don't remember where he was located. Might have been down below deck somewhere.
Were you, did they have a burial at sea?
They did, but I don't remember it.
I was talking to you about the photographs. You mentioned two very important things. Could you just mention the thing about the torpedo? That one of the heads came off?
Right.
You mentioned that the second kamikaze, your kamikaze, when it hit, there were a bunch of gun emplacements that it blew up on the other side. Could you tell me, sir, what was the damage from the second kamikaze? You know, why were there so many casualties? Where did they come from?
From the gun mounts and the fire engine, and at the head of it, there was a turbine on each staff. There's two stacks, two props. A turbine on each prop and a fire engine for each turbine. They split up. First torpedo behind the after stack lost its head, and it was knocked loose and was down into the fire room.
Did all the officers survive?
Oh no, he got some of them too. The paper, they identified their rank when they listed them.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. I thought it was just saying who the officers were, but no, it's saying that the officers were killed. Is Bill Elliott, was that your friend?
No, that might have been the one that contacted me later. I'd estimate that half of our crew were killed by those two kamikaze airplanes.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have two sisters just younger than me that we grew up together. And then there's a bunch of them came along later. My first brother was 10 years behind me. I guess he was born in New Mexico. Had four sisters, two more sisters later that were born in California, I think it was. It was like three families. My first family, and me and my two sisters, my brother, the second one, and then two sisters and two brothers come along later.
Did you have any family members who were killed in the war or who served?
Yeah.
Your brother?
His brother would have been too young for the war.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was in the service, though, but he was after the war.
But did you?
I had a lot.
Did you have cousins or any? You told me about that one cousin with 3 carriers.
I had another cousin who was on a submarine. I had another one somewhere. Had 3 of them at least.
But they all survived?
I think so. My grandparents were living down at Elkhart, just out east of Elkhart, a couple of miles.
Can you talk about life during the Depression when you guys were homesteading? You know, kids today are so fortunate. They have so many things. You had a pretty rural life.
Closest neighbor was about 10 miles north of us. We went to a little country school about several miles northeast of us. We sat in the school at times after the dust got bad. We sat in school in the room with masks on. Dad had a good job with the county highway department in the meantime, building roads. And I went with him on weekends a lot of times.
What did you see? How did they build the roads back then?
They used a tractor and a grader to smooth it out. And they had an elevator, they called it, with one big disc to scoop it out, and went up a rubber belt up onto the middle of the road.
And then after that?
After that, well, I went to high school in, I think it was New Mexico by that time. Graduated high school in Springer, New Mexico. And the Navy had let me have a couple of months extra till I graduated. Then when I graduated, a group of us from our high school and a couple of other high schools in the area, like several of us were taken down to boot camp at just north of the Galveston. And that boot camp had been used by all the services at one time or another, but it was so flat that we'd come in to get showers in the evening and wind up ankle deep in shower water. So that was no pleasure either. Finished the boot camp in Camp Wallace, I think it was, just north of the ocean at, the town there just south of, this point south. At the homestead in Kansas, we lived there for 5 years to homestead it. And by the end of that 5 years, the dust storms were coming in. My mother was getting dust pneumonia. So as soon as possible, they left out and went to Fullerton, California.
Mr. Lewis, could you please tell me about your memories of the Dust Bowl?
All right. Like I say, in grade school, the last 30 years I was there, we wore a dust mask inside the school. We went out to Fullerton, California for my mother's health and got into a flood there and an earthquake. And I was in 5th grade at that point, and we had a canal behind us. There was a boat on that canal right behind the house, but my mother wouldn't let me use it. While we were there, our house had the last one we had 2 steps up on the front porch, and the water got up over the first step. When Dad came down and got us out of the house with the car and got water inside the car. We had bought that car. It was a 36 Ford that he'd bought up in Kansas. The homestead, the parents had built a walk-in cellar into a little hilltop that they'd put a well on top of it. Just above from the house, they could walk out and walk into this cellar, walk-in cellar. But the water from the well came down, so it's a couple of barrels on top, and they built a couple of tanks, cement tanks inside the cellar. One of them to take the fresh water, and then it run from there over to a second tank, a bigger tank with a shelf underneath. They put the milk from the cows in that second tank to cool it. The water from that well, from that cellar, run out the side then to a little half barrel we'd cut off for the cows to drink from. Run out from the side there on out into this little water tank, cow tank, and then drain from there in down into a cellar. This one afternoon, finished washing the car. It sent me up to shut the water off for that purpose. And from there up on the little round where the well was located, I could see the dust cloud coming in from the north. It was rolling along like big, high, like water, but it was dust. We had time to put the car in the garage and had used basic wooden homes for a garage and for a barn for the milking. Anyway, we were able to put the car away and then go out and get in the cellar. And we were in the cellar when the dust got there. But when the dust hit, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. After that episode with the dust storm, it was the same way at the grade school. A couple of miles north of us, my mother would drive the car out, take us up to the school. When the dust came in, we'd sit in the one-room schoolhouse with dust masks on.
And tell me, sir, thank you for explaining that. When you were growing up, before the war broke out, what was your dream? What did you want to do with your life?
Well, early on, when I was going out with Dad when he was on the weekends, when he was working on the roads, I had a little crawler tractor, a toy tractor that I was dreaming about that. When we got out to California, Dad was working. He first worked with another one of Mother's brothers in the Ford garage.
Could you please tell us the story of seeing your family for the first time when you came home?
By that time, it was getting later in the day, so they were out working or at school. I didn't see many of them to start with. The kids are all at school and parents working. Just after this, I guess while I was at home, the Dad went into town for one of the kids, the girls were born, I guess, then. Anyway, I was out there by myself. So I took the team out. It was nice then. I took the team out and the two cultivators. The rows in that field to the south of the highway, south of the house, had to be about 3/4 of a mile long or more. It was close to a mile. When I took the team out cultivating down these long rows, angling across, they were long. I got about halfway out, and it come up a hailstorm, beating on my horse, and I got under him, and he was stepping around, but I had to step with him. Survived that. I went back, but that probably took out all of his dad's income the year following. They had some cane that they had managed to salvage. They had already taken up. They were bundles. They were so long that about as long as a wagon bed. Stacked them up till I was only one bundle wide. I couldn't do any more. My job in high school was stacking the stuff on the wagon. So I knew what I was doing. Still, another shock ahead of us. We had to go around. There was still slight hesitation, and there's still slight indication of the furrow there. And when we dropped off in to go around, I think the tire blew. There was some loud explosion. It just kept on going. I think I got a concussion from that while I was at home.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember anything for several days.
What advice do you want to give to future generations?
I'm sure it's going to be entirely different for the future generations. Don't get into war. Stay clear.
And what do you want to see people do in the future to make you feel like the sacrifices of your generation were worth it?
I don't know. Well, like going on right now over in, what is that, Russia, next to Russia?
That's right.
They're getting blown up all the time over there.
And your family, your friends, when they think about you in the future, what are the characteristics that are important that they think of you as what kind of man?
Serious.
Very serious.
I built the prototype of the first guidance system at Sandia Labs.
Besides serious, what are some of the other attributes? Hardworking, honest, a World War II veteran? I mean, what's important?
Good people, just knew what to do and so on. That they raised their people like to be good.